Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful. Today. Son, she's your grandma. Steffi brings Hayes to see Sheila after the tragedy. After Sheila snatches Luna's gun and is shot, Lee blames Poppy. Sheila Sharp took Luna Nozawa's firearm. Let's discuss all the unexpected turns in Monday's B&B episode, as Lee Finnegan also blamed Poppy Nozawa for Luna's problems. Luna sought to win Sheila around to her way of thinking at the beach home, claiming that Steffi Forrester was the reason they had to resort to such drastic measures. Sheila encouraged Luna to put down her gun because she understood from personal experience that this was not the appropriate way to handle the situation. Luna made it plain that she would never harm her half-brother once Hayes Finnegan's name was spoken. When she was standing there brandishing a weapon, Steffi questioned how Luna could expect her to believe that. Luna remained steadfast in her desire to date Hayes and John Finnegan. Sheila persisted in attempting to calm Luna down, but Luna maintained that she had waited long enough to get close to her father. Luna believed she could have the father-daughter relationship she desired if Steffi would only put the past behind her and quit getting in the way. Luna claimed that she wasn't and pretended that she hadn't brought Steffi there to hurt her when Sheila urged her to stop threatening her. Steffi made the decision to liberate Ms. Dillon and leave the area so they could notify the police if Luna wouldn't harm her. Luna prevented Steffi from entering the other room when she insisted that Luna would not be a part of Finn's life. There was a struggle after Sheila finally jumped for Luna's weapon. Sheila and Luna both looked surprised after a shot was fired between them. At the hospital, Lee believed her sister was the cause of Luna's transformation into a monster and held Poppy responsible for Luna's miserable upbringing. Luna stated that Poppy ruined everything for her and reassured Finn that he wasn't at fault when they showed some sympathy for her. Rich Forrester, Taylor Hayes, Electra Forrester, and Will Spencer talked about Steffi's appointment with Ms. Dillon at the Cliff House, which ought to have ended by now. Will and Electra received information about Miss Sunshine working as an assistant at the art program, along with updates on the strange origami fortune teller. Sheila visiting Taylor to raise the alarm about Luna was also discussed. Since protecting his family was his top responsibility, Ridge made the decision to inform Deputy Chief Bradley Baker about Sheila's visit. Steffi Forrester's Beach House Sanctuary, transforming Monday's The Bold and the Beautiful into a masterclass in escalating tension culminating in the deafening, life-altering punctuation of a gunshot. At the heart of this maelstrom was Luna Nozawa, a young woman whose quest for paternal connection had curdled into a terrifyingly misguided act of coercion, her trembling hand clutching a weapon aimed at Steffi, the formidable gatekeeper to her father, Finn's, life. Luna, fueled by a toxic cocktail of perceived rejection, Poppy's questionable life lessons, and the unbearable weight of waiting, had tragically embraced the delusion that force could forge the familial bond she craved. Her pleas to Sheila Sharp, an unlikely and horrified confidant in this madness, revealed the depth of her warped justification. Steffi, in Luna's fractured perspective, was the sole architect of their extreme measures, the immovable obstacle denying her the right to know Finn and her half-brother, Hayes. Yet, Sheila Carter, of all people, became the unexpected voice of chilling reason in that suffocating room. Drawing from her own blood-soaked history, a living testament to the irrevocable devastation wrought by firearms, Sheila urgently implored Luna to lower the weapon, her words laced with a hard-won, terrifying knowledge Luna herself lacked. This plea gained visceral urgency when Hayes' innocent name entered the fray, prompting Luna's frantic, almost childlike insistence that she would never harm the baby, a declaration Steffi met with cold, disbelieving fury, her eyes fixed on the undeniable, lethal threat Luna posed simply by wielding the gun in her home, near her child. Luna, however, remained tragically entrenched in her distorted narrative, standing her ground on her right to a relationship with Finn and Hayes, her resolve hardening like brittle ice. Sheila, trapped in a nightmare mirroring her own past sins but now playing a role she never imagined, doubled down on her attempts to de-escalate, trying to pierce Luna's defensive fog. She pushed Luna to abandon the threats, but Luna, oscillating wildly between victimhood and aggression, protested she wasn't threatening anyone, absurdly denying the implicit terror of luring Steffi to the house under false pretenses while armed. Steffi, embodying the Forrester steel, saw an opening. Calling Luna's bluff, she declared if no harm was intended, she would free Ms. Dillon, Poppy, and leave to call the authorities, a logical, assertive move designed to regain control. But it was the finality in Steffi's voice, the absolute denial that Luna would ever be part of Finn's life, that shattered Luna's precarious composure. As Steffi turned towards the other room, Luna's desperation surged, overriding any semblance of reason. She physically blocked Steffi's path, the weapon wavering dangerously between them. It was in that microsecond of heightened chaos, with Luna distracted by Steffi's defiance and her own crumbling resolve, that Sheila Sharp made her move. Years of survival instincts, a horrifying familiarity with the dance of death, and perhaps a flicker of something resembling protectiveness, or self-preservation in the inevitable aftermath, propelled her. She lunged, not for Steffi, but for the source of the immediate danger, Luna's gun. What followed was a visceral, desperate struggle, a tangle of limbs and terror centered on the cold metal object. The struggle was brief, brutal, and culminated in the deafening, percussive crack of a single gunshot. Time froze. The struggle ceased instantly. Sheila and Luna recoiled, their faces mirroring identical masks of pure, unadulterated shock, their eyes wide with the horrifying realization that the unthinkable had happened. Who was hit? Where did the bullet go? The air hung thick with gunsmoke and the terrifying silence after the blast, leaving Steffi, Poppy, and the combatants suspended in a moment of horrifying uncertainty. The beach house transformed from a scene of tense negotiation into a potential crime scene in the blink of an eye. The shockwave of that gunshot reverberated far beyond the beach house walls, instantly detonating collateral drama at Los Angeles Memorial Hospital. There, Lee Finnegan, already bearing the weight of her son Finn's distress over the unfolding crisis, received the news of the confrontation and the shot. Her reaction was immediate, volcanic, and laser-focused, unadulterated blame directed squarely at her sister, Poppy Nozawa. Lee's fury wasn't merely about the present danger, it was a dam bursting, releasing decades of pent-up condemnation. She viciously attacked Poppy's parenting, branding Luna's childhood as rotten, a direct result of Poppy's perceived irresponsibility, flightiness, and questionable choices. In Lee's scorching assessment, Poppy wasn't just a negligent mother, she was the architect, the cause of Luna's apparent transformation into the monster now holding a gun in a standoff. This blame was absolute, a shield Lee wielded to deflect any scrutiny from her own complex history, including her connection to Sheila, or Finn's potential role in Luna's pain. Even when a sliver of pity for Luna's obvious brokenness momentarily surfaced in Lee's demeanor, it was instantly drowned by another torrent of condemnation towards Poppy. You messed everything up for her, Lee spat, reinforcing the narrative that Poppy's fundamental failures were the root cause. Her assurance to Finn that he bore no fault was less about comforting him and more about reinforcing the binary. Poppy was the sole source of the poison, everyone else, especially Lee and her son, were blameless victims of Poppy's toxic influence. This hospital scene became a brutal counterpoint to the beach house violence. While bullets flew there, Lee fired verbal salvos, weaponizing familial resentment and decades-old sisterly rivalry in the wake of crisis. Meanwhile, miles away at the Cliff House, a different kind of tension simmered, the anxiety of waiting for news. Ridge Forrester, Taylor Hayes, and the younger generation, Will Spencer and Elector Forrester, were gathered, acutely aware that Steffi's meeting with the mysterious Ms. Dillon should have concluded. The atmosphere was thick with unease, the delay feeding their worst suspicions. Ridge, ever the patriarch focused on security, took charge. Updates were shared, the unsettling origami from the fortune teller felt increasingly ominous, the revelation about Miss Sunshine, Poppy's alias, working at the art program adding another layer of confusion. But the most critical piece of intelligence was Sheila Carter's unexpected visit to Taylor, warning her about Luna's instability. This act, from their most reviled enemy, underscored the gravity of the situation in a way nothing else could. Sheila's warning was the ultimate red flag. Ridge, prioritizing his family's safety above all else, made the decisive call. Deputy Chief Bradley Baker needed to know Sheila was in Los Angeles and actively involved. This wasn't just about Sheila's parole, it was about mobilizing official resources against a threat that had suddenly escalated beyond family squabbles into potential lethal violence. The Cliff House became the strategic command center, their concern for Steffi morphing into a proactive hunt for information and protection, starkly contrasting the raw emotional explosions at the beach house and hospital. The genius of this episode lay in the intricate weaving of these three simultaneous narratives, each amplifying the others. The beach house provided the visceral, immediate threat, the gun, the struggle, the shocking gunshot. The hospital exposed the deep, festering wounds of the past that festered beneath Luna's actions, with Lee's vitriol towards Poppy offering a tragic explanation, if not justification, for Luna's fragility and poor choices. The Cliff House, meanwhile, showcased the protective network swinging into action, demonstrating how one unstable individual's actions send ripples of fear and mobilization through an entire family dynasty. Sheila's role was particularly fascinating, the reformed monster trying desperately to prevent a tragedy she understood all too well, only to become physically entangled in its occurrence. Luna's journey hit a devastating nadir, her quest for love and belonging, horribly corrupted by Poppy's influence and her own despair, led her to brandish the ultimate symbol of alienation and violence, culminating in a moment of pure, accidental terror. Steffi's steely resolve faced its most direct, armed challenge. And Lee's outburst, while cruel, laid bare the destructive legacy of her relationship with Poppy, a legacy now manifesting in the next generation with potentially catastrophic consequences. That single gunshot wasn't just a sound effect, it was the narrative equivalent of a seismic charge, shattering illusions of control, exposing raw nerves, and irrevocably altering the trajectories of everyone involved. It left audiences breathless, not just wondering about the physical fallout, who was shot, but also about the irreversible emotional and relational damage inflicted, proving once again that in the world of the bold and the beautiful, the pursuit of family can sometimes lead to its most terrifying unraveling. Lee's Poppy bashing, Finn's declaration, and shots fired. Luna Nozawa's confrontation. John Finn Finnegan declares something in the meantime. Lee Finnegan also criticizes Penelope Poppy Nozawa. Let's discuss the upcoming events in the CBS soap opera as you continue reading. The panic of Sheila Carter Sharp. Sheila Carter Sharp orders Luna to lay down the rifle at the art school. Luna continues to grip the gun firmly, pointing it towards Steffi Forrester Finnegan. Luna says she won't do anyone any harm. She's holding a gun when she says that, Sheila reminds her. Luna is adamant about being a part of Finn's life. Luna is informed by Sheila that she encouraged her to leave Los Angeles. Luna asserts that she is not doomed to the same destiny as her grandma simply because she was unable to find acceptance. Sheila takes a different approach. Sheila says she might be welcomed someday, but not today. In Finn's arms, Luna experienced safety and love for the first time. Finn would never have revealed their genuine relationship to her if he didn't want her in his life. Sheila advises her to cease threatening others. The young woman insists she's not. Steffi informs Luna that she will leave and notify the police if she is truly not in danger. She is told to halt by Luna. Sheila has already taken the gun, and the two women are fighting over it as Steffi turns around. Then a shot is fired. The reason given by John Finnegan. Finn informs Lee about Steffi's encounter with Hayes' painting instructor at the hospital. Additionally, he is turning down many of Sheila's calls. The senior physician believes Sheila is attempting to re-enter Finn's life. Sheila is ranked next to Poppy as the worst mother in the world by Lee. Attacking Poppy Nozawa, Lee is tired of Poppy and Finn. It makes sense that her sister would have a monster child like Luna. They both concur that Finn must keep his family safe from Luna. Finn also feels bad about not being able to keep Luna safe as a child. Lee claims Poppy is to fault. Finn can't get the feeling that he could have changed Luna's life. Finn then understands that if Sheila had reared him, he would not be the person he is today. Lee was a decent man because of his love. According to Lee, Luna was a kind young child who genuinely loved Finn. Luna wasn't a nasty person at birth, but Poppy made her think otherwise. Lee claims that Poppy destroyed Luna's life. Taylor Hayes describes. Taylor Hayes gives an explanation for Sheila's presence at the Cliff home. Regarding Hayes Forrester Finnegan, Rich Forrester has nothing positive to say and makes a lot of baseless accusations. Will Spencer and Elector Forrester enter? Steffi was given some samples by Electra to examine. Taylor gives an explanation for Steffi's absence. Electra questions whether the fortune teller's message was misunderstood. Taylor chuckles at the idea of Sheila protecting Steffi, but he acknowledges that Luna is growing more unstable. Sheila Carter Sharp, her carefully constructed facade of reformed benevolence utterly shattered by the terrifying tableau before her, stood frozen a few feet from Luna Nozawa, her voice a ragged whisper scraping against the oppressive silence. "Luna, please, put the gun down. Just put it down." Every syllable was laced with a terror that transcended her own notorious history. This was the primal fear of a mother witnessing her child teetering on the abyss. Yet Luna, a figure transformed from the seemingly meek assistant into a vessel of wounded fury and warped conviction, remained immovable, her knuckles bone-white where they gripped the cold steel of the pistol, its unblinking barrel trained with unnerving steadiness on Steffi Forrester Finnegan. Steffi, the embodiment of everything Luna felt she had been denied, Finn's love, his name, his legitimacy, his life, stood pale but defiant, her eyes locked on Luna's, refusing to cower even as her own heart hammered against her ribs like a frantic bird trapped in a cage. "I'm not going to hurt anyone," Luna insisted, the tremor in her voice belying the chilling certainty in her gaze. Sheila choked on a disbelieving gasp, gesturing wildly at the weapon. "You're holding a gun, Luna. Aimed at Steffi. How can you say that?" Luna's jaw tightened, her focus unwavering from Steffi. "I just want what's mine. I deserve a place in Finn's life. A real place. Not shadows and secrets." The mention of Finn ignited a fresh wave of frustration in Sheila. "I urged you to leave LA, Luna. To start fresh, away from all this poison." Luna's laugh was brittle, sharp as shattered glass. "Just because you could never find acceptance, grandmother, just because you burned every bridge you ever crossed, doesn't mean that's my fate too. Finn acknowledged me. He told me the truth. That means something." Sheila, desperately trying to claw back control, shifted tactics, her voice softening into a strained plea. Maybe one day, acceptance is possible. But not like this, Luna. Not holding Steffi hostage. Think. That feeling you had, that safety, that love you felt in Finn's arms when he told you? That was real. If he truly didn't want you in his life, if he saw you as nothing but a mistake, he never would have revealed your connection." Her words, meant to soothe, seemed only to fuel Luna's sense of righteous indignation. "I'm not making threats," Luna protested, the gun dipping slightly before snapping back into position. Steffi, sensing a fractional weakening, seized the moment, her voice cutting through the tension like ice. "If you really mean that, if this isn't a threat, then I'm leaving. And I'm calling the police." She took a deliberate step backward. "Stop!" Luna shrieked, the sound echoing off the bare walls. As Steffi instinctively turned her head towards the door, Sheila saw her infinitesimal window. With a surge of adrenaline born of decades surviving lethal encounters, she lunged, not at Luna, but at the gun. Her hands closed around Luna's wrist and the weapon's grip in a desperate, clawing grapple. "No. Let go." Luna screamed, her other hand flying up to pry Sheila's fingers loose. They became a writhing tangle of limbs, grunts of effort punctuating the frantic struggle, the seasoned survivor versus the enraged daughter, locked in a horrifying dance over the instrument of potential death. Steffi spun back, frozen in horror, unable to intervene without risking being caught in the crossfire. The gun waved erratically between them, a deadly pendulum swinging in the charged air. And then, the world fractured. A deafening crack split the silence, a single, brutal punctuation mark to the chaos. The recoil jerked both women apart. Smoke curled lazily from the barrel. Time stopped. The aftermath hung suspended in the shocked stillness. Who was hit? Where did the bullet go? The only certainty was the acrid smell of gunpowder now mingling with the clay and paint, a horrifying signature on the scene. Meanwhile, miles away in the sterile calm of Los Angeles General Hospital, a different kind of tension simmered, thick with resentment and familial loyalty. John Finn Finnegan paced the confines of Lee Finnegan's office, his brow furrowed as he relayed Steffi's afternoon agenda to his adoptive mother. She just had a meeting with Hayes' art teacher at the school, Mom. Routine stuff. His explanation was punctuated by the persistent buzzing of his phone, ignored yet again as Sheila's name flashed repeatedly on the screen. Lee watched him, her expression a mask of icy disapproval. She's trying to force her way back in, Finn. Again. Like a virus. She sees Luna's turmoil as an opportunity, a wedge. Lee's voice dripped with venom as she pronounced Sheila's name. She remains the worst mother on the planet. Her gaze hardened further. Right alongside Poppy. The mention of her sister ignited a familiar, searing rage within Lee. This whole situation with Luna, it sickens me. And it all traces back to Poppy. It's no wonder she spawned such a monstrous child. Finn flinched at the harshness directed towards Luna, a complex cocktail of guilt and responsibility churning in his gut. Lee, Luna isn't. But Lee cut him off, relentless. They are a danger, Finn. Both of them. Luna holding a gun? Poppy poisoning her mind? You must protect your family. Steffi. Hayes. Kelly. Us. From that toxicity. Finn ran a hand through his hair, the weight of Lee's words and the missed calls pressing down on him. I know. Protect Steffi, protect the kids. Absolutely. But another, more personal guilt surfaced, raw and uncomfortable. It's just. I can't help feeling responsible for Luna, too. If I'd known, if I could have been there when she was growing up, maybe things would be different. Maybe she wouldn't be so lost. Lee's response was immediate and sharp, a scalpel slicing through his doubt. Blame? The blame lies squarely on Poppy Nozawa's shoulders, Finn. She chose secrecy. She chose to keep Luna from you, from her true heritage. She raised her in that unstable environment. She stepped closer, her voice softening slightly but losing none of its conviction. Finn, look at yourself. Look at the man you are, a brilliant doctor, a devoted husband and father. You think that would have happened if Sheila had raised you? If her chaos had been your world? She placed a hand on his arm, her touch grounding. It was my love, my stability, my guidance that made you the good man you are. Not Sheila's blood, not Poppy's lies. My love. The intensity in her eyes was fierce, protective. A flicker of painful memory crossed Lee's face. Luna, she was a sweet little girl once. Bright eyes, shy smile. She absolutely adored you, Finn. In those rare moments we saw her before Poppy cut ties. She wasn't born twisted. Poppy did that. Poppy filled her head with fantasies and resentments, warped her sense of reality, turned her against her own family. Poppy Nozawa didn't just keep a secret, she ruined that girl's life. The condemnation was absolute, leaving no room for nuance in Lee's worldview. Simultaneously, high above the city in the elegant confines of the Forrester Cliff House, the ominous news began to